what's going on, Vikings fans? Welcome into the show. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we're going to be predicting the Vikings record after the 2025 schedule just got released. We're going over every single game, giving a win and a loss for every single matchup for the Minnesota Vikings this season. But if you guys do not know, this is the official schedule for the Vikings in 2025. Going to start off Monday Night Football in Chicago, taking on Caleb Williams and the Bears. Week 2 against the Falcons, back-to-back primetime games for the Vikings. And you got the Bengals at home. Then you're in Dublin taking on the Steelers. And you're staying across the pond taking on the Cleveland Browns in Week 5 in London. Bye week early this season, yet again, Week 6. And you got a really tough stretch. You go Eagles, Chargers, and Week 9 versus the Lions. Week 10 versus the Ravens as well. And then you also have Week 11 versus the Bears. Week 12 versus the Packers. Sam Darnold revenge game, Week 13. So that's a tough stretch right there. But then it doesn't get easier to finish off the season. Week 14 versus the Commanders. Sunday Night Football against the Cowboys in Dallas. In New York, taking on the Giants. They got the Lions on Christmas. And you wrap up the season taking on the good old Green Bay Packers. So before we dive into every game here, you guys let me know, what will the Vikings record be for the 2025 NFL season? Predict it for me down below in the comments section. Quick little teaser here. I drank a lot of purple Kool-Aid before I went through every single game here. So stay tuned till the end for my final record prediction. But we're going to start it off here. Week 1 matchup versus the Chicago Bears. Monday Night Football. Caleb Williams versus J.J. McCarthy. I got the Vikes going 1-0, of course. I'm not going to predict the Vikings lose J.J. McCarthy's first start. I don't care if they're taking on the Lions in Detroit. But this is going to be a really fun game. You got Ben Johnson versus Brian Flores. Obviously, Caleb Williams versus J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy back in Chicago, where he played his high school football there. So that's going to be an awesome game. But then you got a rematch of the national championship game from 2 years ago. J.J. McCarthy with Michigan, Michael Penix Jr. with Washington. I think the Vikes will probably win this game as well. I got them going 2-0 in this. Probably be about 5-point favorites in this matchup. You really beat up on Atlanta last year, so I think they'll do it again this season and beat the Atlanta Falcons at home on Sunday Night Football. But then a meeting of some good old friends with Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow. This is going to be a tough game. The Bengals, normally they don't start the season too hot, so I am going to have the Vikings drop this matchup to the Cincinnati Bengals, going to 2-1. I could see this being a shootout where it's like, Flores' defense just can't keep up with, Higgins, Chase, the whole crew over there in Cincinnati. This could be like a 34-33 game or something like that. But I do have the Vikings losing this one. And then Dublin, Ireland, taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Probably going to be Aaron Rodgers in this matchup. Vikings already was looking at the line for this game. They're actually 2.5-point favorites. So I got the Vikings winning this one. I think they're going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, moving to 3-1 on the season. And if that's your record after the first 4 games, which I think it should be, that's a huge advantage for the Vikings, because this will be a tough matchup versus Steelers, tough matchup versus the Bengals, Falcons, and Bears as well. But then you are going to stay across the pond overseas, taking on the Cleveland Browns. Week 5 in London. Vikings are 7.5-point favorites in this game. This has to be a must-win game because you have the travel advantage since you are already overseas. This should be a home crowd for the Minnesota Vikings. So I have them winning this game, moving to 4-1 on the season. So if you start first 5 games, you are a 4-1 football team. That would be huge for the Minnesota Vikings. But you do have your bye in Week 6. And coming out of the bye, you get the Super Bowl champs, the Philadelphia Eagles. This is going to be a brutal matchup. I think this would be the first real litmus test on how the Vikings are along their offensive line or on their defensive line. Like, are they a physical football team? You'll probably get that answer in this game. But I do have the Eagles beating the Vikings in Minnesota. It's just a tough game for the Vikes. Eagles are still a loaded team. I think they're going to be damn good again this upcoming season. So I have the Vikings dropping that one to the Eagles, moving to 4-2. But then a short week taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. J.J. McCarthy versus Jim Harbaugh. It's going to be a movie on Thursday night in Inglewood, California. But I do have the Vikings winning this matchup, moving to 5-2 on the season. And again, if you're 5-2 after the first 7 games of the year, that's a massive win for the Minnesota Vikings. But we'll dive into the rest of my record prediction here in a second. But you guys let me know, which game are you most excited to watch this season? It's probably either Week 1 versus the Bears, just to see J.J. McCarthy in that debut, or any of the divisional games. But if you guys have a specific matchup you're fired up about, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Now, following the games versus the Eagles and the Chargers, they got a brutal one. Taking on the Lions in Detroit, this is going to be a massive game for the Vikings. A lot's going to be on the line. You're probably competing with them for the NFC North title. unfortunately, I do have the Vikings losing this one. The Lions have had their number the last 2 years, going 4-0 against the Vikings. Even though I do think they will take a step back from winning 15 games last season just because you lost Ben Johnson, you lost Aaron Glenn. But still, at the end of the day, very, very talented roster over there in Detroit. So I got them beating the Vikings, and the Vikes move to 5-3. But then you come back home, you take on two-time MVP Lamar Jackson and a stacked Ravens team. They had a great draft. It's a fantastic football team, but I do think the Vikings, this is going to be probably my biggest upset here. I think it's going to be at home. You're coming off a big-time loss to the Lions. I got the Vikings winning this matchup, moving to 6-3 on the season. Ravens will present a ton of challenges for the Vikings. Lamar Jackson, I believe, only has lost to 2 NFC teams throughout his NFL career, so maybe the Vikings and J.J. McCarthy make it 3 here. But then you're staying at home for Week 11, and honestly, the Bears game at home this season, it has to be a must-win. Like, the schedule's too tough to chalk this up as a loss. I'm going to chalk it up as a win here, and the Vikes move to 7-3 on the year. Now, this is a little rich. Drink a lot of purple Kool-Aid here, but I do think the Vikings will sweep the Bears this season yet again, which I think it would make it 4 straight years of the Vikes sweeping Chicago, which would be awesome as well. But after that home game versus the Bears, you travel to Lambeau, taking on the Green Bay Packers, and as much as I would like to say the Vikings are going to sweep the Packers yet again, I just got to give them one win here. I think the Packers will beat the Vikings, dropping them to 7-4. Good football team. I think also the Packers, hot take, they could finish last in the NFC North this season, depending on how good the Bears are. But I still think this year will be a battle between the Vikings and the Lions to win the division. But in this matchup in Lambeau Field, I'll have the Vikings losing that one. And then the Sam Darnold revenge game, Week 13. This will most likely be the game of the week. This is going to be a 4:25 kickoff, which is going to be awesome. And there's no chance I'm predicting the Vikings losing to Sam Darnold. I know the fan base would be absolutely livid if that was the case, but I got the Vikings winning this one. I think it's a tough matchup for Seattle. I just don't know if with this new and improved Vikings, defensive and offensive line, if Seattle will be able to hang with them, frankly. So I got the Vikings winning this one, moving to 8-4. But that's a tough game. Then you got another tough game at home, taking on a team that was in the NFC Championship game last year with the rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels. Maybe this is an NFC Championship preview, potentially, but this game being at home, I think the Vikings will get it done and move the 9-4 on the season. Again, this is going to be a tough spot for the Vikes. Commanders, very good football team, but I do think they could be due for some sort of regression this upcoming season. But still, very talented. Jaden Daniels is a stud, top 10 quarterback, but who knows? Maybe we'll be talking about J.J. McCarthy being better than Jaden Daniels at this time of the year. Just throwing that out there. But then you go back to Dallas for another Sunday night football game. I will say, anytime I think of the Vikings playing the Cowboys on a primetime stage, especially in Dallas, I just think of Kyle Rudolph, those one-handed catches he had probably, I think it was like 5 years ago now. But I do think this is going to be a tough spot for the Vikings because you have a brutal stretch of your schedule previous to this matchup. So I do have the Vikings losing this one to the Dallas Cowboys, moving to 9-5. I think it's going to be a tough spot for the Vikes. I think Dallas, people are undervaluing them just a little bit heading into the season. I love the pickup of George Pickens. It's going to be a tough cover for the Vikes, and I could see this being, maybe like a 28-24 game in favor of the Dallas Cowboys. But then you got another game, even though it's on the road, this should be a win for the Vikings. You're going to be taking on a great front four for the New York Giants and Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, and Abdul Carter. So I think the Vikings will win this game. I think this will probably be on the back of the defense where this is a matchup where like the Vikings Hellfire package on third down just wrecks, and we could look up and it's like, damn, the Vikings got 7-8 sacks in this matchup. So I got them winning this one, moving to 10-5, and then you're back on Christmas taking on the Detroit Lions on a short week. This is going to be a must-win game for the Vikings, man, because if you already dropped the game in Detroit, this crowd's going to be fired up. Probably both these teams will still be competing for the NFC North title, and I got the Vikings beating the Lions for the first time in, I think, 3 seasons, moving to 11-5 on the year. It's going to be a battle anytime you play the Lions or the Packers. These are tough games, very physical games, so I do like the Vikings in this spot, though, moving to 11-5 on a short week, and then you finish off the season, Week 18, taking on the Green Bay Packers. Now, the Vikings, they already lost to the Packers for my record prediction. I'm not going to have that be the case again. You get a mini bye week playing the Lions on that Thursday night previously. So the Vikes will move to 12-5. And originally I had the Vikings going 11-6. Maybe if you just drop that game to the Ravens, then you're 11-6 football team. But I do think this floor for the Vikings is really, really high. just with the amount of talent that's on this roster. You got an elite coaching staff. You got blue chippers. You got a deep roster. It all comes down to J.J. McCarthy, but I'm a believer in him. I think the Vikings are going to have a very successful season. But you guys close it out. Predict the Vikings record for next season. Let me know your thoughts down below. I got them going 12-5, maybe drinking a little too much purple Kool-Aid, but hey, you guys let me know your thoughts. Predict the Vikings record for next season. Hit that subscribe button on your way out. See y'all next time. Let's go Vikes.